It's our tradition to have these seasonal preview videos where we count down the top 10 anime that people anticipate in an upcoming season. But usually around half of those entries are filled with sequels of popular anime for obvious reasons. Hence, we're going to change things up a little bit. I know I already had something pretty similar to this before, but we'll have a second go at counting down the top anime to look out for this fall 2020. But this time, I'll be intentionally excluding sequels and focusing only on new anime. So with those sequels out of the way, which shows will make it to the list? Stay tuned to find out. At number 10, we begin with I'm Standing on 1 Million Lives. And right off the bat, we get an isekai. This time, it's the trio of friends, Yusuke, Kusue, and Iyu, who get transported into another world full of mythological creatures. Now, the thing is, the two girls get some cool character class assignments, becoming a warrior and a magician, while Yusuke is left with being a farmer. What a nice fate indeed. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would have been quite sick of this harem-like isekai setup by now, but having read the manga, I think that I'm Standing on 1 Million Lives still has its own charm. For one, it's a series where the isekai setting really does matter, and there's an overflow of details and care put into crafting the world and the characters. So trust me, this isn't your random throwaway seasonal isekai, it's far from it in fact, but you do need to stick with it for quite some time. It's also illustrated by the guy that drew Trinity 7, one of the series that I really enjoyed, so there is that too. I've got to ask you if you remember Hayate the Combat Butler. Of course you do. And here he comes with his next work. This anime is the story of Nasa Yuzaki, who falls in love at first sight upon noticing the cute Tsukasa, only for it to lead to his doom as he fails to detect danger and finds himself getting hit by a truck. Barely alive thanks to the girl, Nasa resolves in his dying breath to confess, and that he did, receiving the girl's proposal of marriage. Not a bad way to go out now, is it, right? At least he got to do something before he eventually succumbs to his inevitable death and wakes up in another... Wait? He survives? Eh? And that promise he made at death's door has not left his mind either. He resolves to find Tsukasa to no avail before an unexpected visitor comes to his doorstep one day. The visitor? None other than his wife. Fun, hijinks, a lot of laughs, and some legitimately touching moments are all on the table. We won't have to wait any longer than the first few days of October for this one. In our 8th spot, we have Our Last Crusade or The Rise of a New World. Oh boy, here we go with the long, contrived titles. But this series is actually one that I'm really anticipating. And no, it's not an isekai title, despite it looking very much like one. War has raged for years between the Empire and Nebulis. Residents of the two realms, contrasted by their focus on technology and magic, have no love lost between them. That is, until 16-year-old Iskar gets awarded the Empire's highest title and gets his chance encounter with Nebulis' princess. Falling in love with each other for differing reasons, the two try to change the world in their own separate ways. Now, this series gives off some serious Romeo and Juliet vibes in terms of premise, but I've always been a sucker for these technology versus magic settings. It helps that the main character designs also appeal to me a lot too, so I'm really excited to see how the story will develop from this point out. Familiar title? That's to be expected for yet another victim of the multiple delays, but it finally looks like all systems go for Akudama Drive this time round. This anime original brings us to a Japan that's been divided thanks to a war between Kanto and Kansai. Following the war, it would also seem that things would become more peaceful, but it's not all sunshine in Kansai, which has become dependent on Kanto. Danger lurks in every corner of the treacherous alleys, and the government has started losing control to the criminals known as Akudama. Akudama Drive for me gives off some Western movie vibes with its dark and noir-like atmosphere. Its tagline of "everyone is a villain" also helps solidify that impression for me. I personally don't have the highest opinion of Studio Period, but given that it's from the creator of Danganronpa and what we've seen in the PVs, I do believe that we're getting the awesome dark show of the season with Akudama Drive. 6th on the list is Moriarty the Patriot. Presumably following the momentum from Millionaire Detective, we get another mystery detective series this October, starring a more familiar face. Those fans of classic literature would be no strangers to the name William James Moriarty. Yes, we indeed have an anime about the Sherlock Holmes villain on our hands here. Now, in a pretty nifty spin on the world of Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty the Patriot stars the villain and tells us the story from his perspective. We get to see Moriarty's backstory and how he copes with growing up in the cutthroat world of the European 19th century as a member of the nobility. Beyond the calm demeanor of a gentle private consultant lies one of the most diabolical masterminds hell-bent on shaking the very foundations of the world. So, is he really so bad after all? With the popularity of villainess stories in anime recently, it didn't surprise me for one of literature's most beloved villains to get his spotlight in an anime. The blend between anime and classic literature has generally been a mixed bag, but with a charismatic villain like Moriarty, I think that we're going to have a lot to like about this anime. Coming in at number 5, we have The Day I Became a God. Now, at this point in time, you probably know why this one makes the list, right? Social media hype alone makes the title one of the most anticipated new anime coming this season, and with someone like Jun Maeda on board, then why wouldn't it be? Jun Maeda's next foray into the supernatural drama genre tells of Yuta Narukami spending the end of his summer vacation preparing for his life ahead, university entrance exams and all of that. However, things get a bit muddled when he encounters a girl named Hina who claims to be the god of omniscience. Being able to predict the future is cool and all, but it's no laughing matter when the girl proclaims that the end of the world is in 30 days. Overall, this show looks amazing. I think that I have a vague idea on how things will develop from here on out. Now, if you missed out on the magic of Angel Beats and Clannad when they were airing, make sure to put this thing on your watch list. And given the track record that we have, I'm sure that it will be one roller coaster of emotions once everything's said and done. The much beloved and hit webtoon's about to get its anime adaptation, and the hype is just insane. I long considered Noblis one of the titles that helped put Korean webtoons on the map, and it's just so fitting that we'll finally get to see it in an anime adaptation. For those who don't know, Noblis tells the story of Rai, a powerful noble who's just awakened from his 800-year slumber. Waking up to a world completely different from the one he left behind, he gets to the first order of business: finding his most loyal servant Frankenstein. Dealing with the unresolved conflicts from the past, Rai takes the fight with his power as a noble in order to protect society. So how about a Korean series taking the overpowered protagonist angle for a change? Make no mistake, Noblis looks pretty good, and I can't wait to see if the series really lives up to the hype of the webtoon. Well, if it isn't one of the most beloved visual novels out there getting a long-awaited remake in 2020, can this year get any wilder? A lot of you anticipating this series probably know what it's all about, but for those who don't, Higurashi is basically the story of our protagonist, Keiichi Maebara, and his move to the peaceful village of Hinamizawa. There he meets a couple of girls and befriends them, hoping to start a relaxed and happy life with everyone. However, things are a bit amiss as he gets tangled up with a long storyline involving murder in the village's annual festival. To make things worse though, it seems that his friends aren't what they seem to be. The base visual novel is one of the masterpieces in the horror genre back in its day. Can this 2020 version recapture the magic and the terror brought about by one of the legacy visual novels during the peak of the VN industry? We're gonna have to wait to find out. Next, we take a look at Burn the Witch. Tite Kubo is at it again, and this time we have ourselves an action fantasy series set in the same universe as Bleach. Now, if you're one of the many who grew up watching that timeless classic, then you're in for a treat here. Set in London, Burn the Witch puts us in a world that has quite the nostalgic feel to it. However, in place of hollows, it's dragons that plague people in London, being responsible for over 70% of human casualties. Luckily, special people with magical powers known as wizards or witches stand in their way. Inhabiting reverse London, these people can see and hunt down dragons. Witch duo Noelle and Nini are protection agents for Wingbind, an organization that fights dragons and deals with managing outbreaks of those invisible monsters. However, things get complicated when Balgo, a human acquaintance of Noelle's, gets caught up in a dragon attack. Burn the Witch comes out this fall. What else to top our list of anticipated new anime than the newest prospect in the world of shonen anime? Yuji Itadori, despite all of his athletic gifts, decides to join his school's occult club that's in desperate need of members. As fate would have it though, the club opens the proverbial Pandora's box through a cursed object, leading Itadori to his encounter with sorcerer Megumi Fushiguro. Finding themselves pushed to a corner against the spirit residing in that cursed object, Itadori seals it by swallowing the object, becoming host to the King of Curses. Now, housing the dark power within him, Itadori finds himself dragged into the world of curses and sorcerers, where one wrong move could be the end of him. I think that I'm gonna like this, and seeing a lot of people are eagerly awaiting this anime, it seems to be shaping up to be the blockbuster of this season. A lot of fans can't wait, and I'm one of them too. Whether this will become a big hit or not comes down to the execution now. No sequels, and it looks like fall 2020 can be one season to remember. Whether it ends up being as big as summer is still up in the air, but I'm liking its chances. Way to recover closing out the year, anime industry. I'll leave you at this for now, but I really look forward to seeing you again for the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any uploads. I'll see you next time on VinnyTube.